Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to English Talk Sessions. We're really happy you're here. I'm Mia.
And I'm James.
So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's spend the next few minutes together.
Actually, Mia, before we really get into it, I want to try something on you.
Uh-oh. Okay, go ahead.
What is the exact difference between should, could, and have to?
Oh, wow. That is a big one.
I know, I hear them absolutely everywhere.
Exactly. In videos, at work, in every conversation.
Yes, but honestly, I never know which one carries more weight.
That is exactly where most English learners get stuck.
Totally. I just guess most of the time.
Well, you are not alone, James, but perfect timing.
Really? Why?
Because today we are going to make it very, very simple.
Oh, I hope so. My brain is tired of rules.
Listen to me. After this lesson, you will pick the right word automatically.
Automatically? No thinking?
Zero thinking. You see, James, I have a little secret for you.
Ooh, I love secrets. Tell me.
You do not have a grammar problem.
I don't?
No, you have a strength problem.
Wait, what? A strength problem?
In English, these three words show how strong your opinion actually is.
Ah, I think I understand.
So, my promise to you today is this. You will learn how to sound gentle, confident, or completely serious using just three little words.
Wow, 3 words.
Exactly. Now, before we start, I want you to relax. Take a breath.
Okay, breathing in and out.
Good, because there are no boring grammar rules today.
Thank goodness, I really don't love grammar.
I know you don't. This is not grammar, James. This is real conversation.
Perfect, I am ready. What is the big idea?
The big idea is that these three words work like a dimmer switch.
A dimmer switch.
Yes, imagine a light in your living room, one of those switches you can turn up or down.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Couch, snacks, a little bit of chaos.
Perfect. Your friend says, I don't know what to watch tonight.
I could say, watch the new comedy.
That's fine, but listen to this instead. You could watch the new comedy. Oh, you could watch the new comedy.
How does that feel?
It feels lighter, like just one option out of many.
Exactly. That's the magic of could. It never pushes.
So it's basically a gentle idea floating there.
Beautifully said. Now, let's put it in a real office situation.
Ooh, business suit mode.
Exactly that. Imagine you're in a meeting and a coworker isn't sure how to organize the report.
Okay, meeting room, a little tense, everyone's watching the clock.
You don't want to sound bossy, so you say,
You could organize it by date, or you could group it by client instead.
perfect. 2 soft ideas, 0 pressure. Notice we usually give could more than one option.
Right, one alone can feel a little empty.
Now, could also works for polite requests, not just suggestions.
How so?
Imagine your hands are completely full of boxes and you reach a closed door.
Oh no, my arms are already tired just imagining it.
A coworker is standing right there. What do you say?
Can you open the door?
That's fine, very normal. But listen to this version. Could you open the door?
Could you open the door? How does that feel compared to can? Softer, more respectful somehow.
Exactly. Can just asks about ability. Could adds a layer of politeness on top.
Could you help me? Could you send the file? Could you explain this again?
You're a natural already.
Give me one more, a tricky one.
All right, you're planning a trip and you have 0 idea where to go.
Okay, give me the could treatment.
You could visit the mountains if you want something quiet. You could try the coast if you want beaches and seafood. Or you could stay in the city and explore neighborhoods you've never seen.
None of those feel pushy at all. I could pick any one and you wouldn't mind.
That's the whole personality of could. Relaxed, generous, 0 attachment to your final choice.
0 attachment. I love that phrase.
Should we trademark it?
Maybe. Okay, let's turn the dimmer up a little. What's the middle word?
The middle word is should. S-H-O-U-L-D. Should.
Should. Normal brightness.
Exactly. Now, picture this. Your friend is stressed at her desk, staring at her screen, completely overwhelmed by a huge project.
Oh, poor her. I can feel the stress already.
You want to help, but you don't want to sound like you're giving orders. What do you say?
talk to your manager.
Ouch. How does that land?
Actually, kind of harsh, like a command.
Right, and she's already stressed. She doesn't need orders. Let's soften it with should.
You should talk to your manager.
How does that feel now?
Much better, like you actually care instead of just telling me what to do.
That's should. Real advice, clear opinion, but she can absolutely ignore it if she wants.
Advice, not an order.
Exactly the tone. Now, should also has a very common negative form, shouldn't.
Shouldn't, like you shouldn't skip breakfast.
Perfect example. Still just advice, but it's telling you what to avoid, gently.
And should works great in questions too, right?
It really does. Should I call him first or should I wait? That's basically how English speakers ask, what do you think I should do?
So, Mia, what should I do this weekend? Real question.
Honestly, you should finally clean your apartment.
Wow, okay. Brutal, but noted.
That's should for you. Honest opinion, no hard feelings either way.
Let's take should to the office too, for balance.
Great idea. Imagine you're a team lead and a coworker's numbers look a bit off.
Okay, business suit, glasses, serious face.
You say, you should double check those numbers. How does that land compared to you have to double check those numbers?
The should version sounds like teamwork. The have to version sounds like a warning.
Big difference. Same exact situation. That's a perfect bridge to our third word.
The bright, full power one.
Ready to turn the dimmer all the way up?
Take a breath first. This one sounds important.
Breathing in. Okay, ready.
The final word is have to. Two words, really, but they act as one unit. Have to.
Have to. Full brightness. Impossible to ignore.
Picture a real deadline. You're at your desk and a form is due Friday. No exceptions.
Okay, I can feel the pressure already.
What do you say to your coworker about it?
You have to submit the form by Friday.
That's really not an opinion anymore, is it?
No, that's a fact, a real requirement.
Exactly. But have to also works for opinions you feel very strongly about, even without any real rule behind them.
Give me an example.
You have to try the ramen place near the station. It's unbelievable.
But technically, nobody's forcing anyone to eat ramen.
True, but the feeling is so strong, have to comes out naturally anyway.
So sometimes it's a real rule, and sometimes it's just pure enthusiasm dressed up as a rule.
Exactly that mix. Quick grammar note though, with he, she, or it, have changes to has. She has to leave early today.
Small change, but people forget it the moment they're nervous.
They really do. And people also confuse have to with must. Close cousins, not identical twins.
How are they different?
Must often comes from the speaker's own authority, like a rule you're personally making. You must finish this by Friday. From a boss, feels personal, almost strict.
And have to?
You have to finish this by Friday can just be a fact about the deadline itself. Nobody's personal decision.
Subtle, but it really changes the mood.
In daily spoken English, have to shows up far more than must. Must can sound formal, even harsh.
Good tip. Now, have to also shifts a lot depending on who you're speaking to.
How so?
With a close friend, you have to see this movie just sounds excited, like a recommendation with extra energy.
But at work,
At work, you have to finish this today can land cold, even if you don't mean it that way.
same words, totally different weight, depending on the relationship.
Exactly why native speakers often soften have to at work. Instead of the blunt version, they'll say something like, I'll need this by today, if possible.
Good tip, honestly. Grammar's only half the story. Tone matters just as much.
Let's make sure this is locked in with a quick summary. Take your time.
If it's just a soft idea, no pressure at all, that's good.
Correct. The dim, gentle light.
If it's a real opinion, clear advice someone can still ignore, that's should.
Perfect. The normal, comfortable brightness.
And if it's a real requirement or something I feel very strongly about, that's have to.
Exactly right. Full power, impossible to miss.
Wow, I actually feel like I understand this now.
You do understand it. You just needed to see the light behind the words instead of the rule.
The dimmer switch really helped. The cafe, the office, the deadline.
Visualizing it makes it stick in your brain forever.
Now, before we move on, let's do a quick smart comparison. Same topic, 3 different intensities.
I love this part. Give me the topic.
Coffee.
Okay, you should try this coffee shop. My honest opinion.
You could try this coffee shop or the one across the street. Just an option, no pressure.
You have to try this coffee shop. It's the best in the city. Now I really, really mean it.
I could actually hear the difference in your voice on that last one.
That's the whole lesson, honestly, in 3 sentences.
Let's do one more, a bigger one. Moving to a new city.
Okay, go.
You should visit the old town first. It's beautiful. A strong nudge, but still an opinion.
You could visit the old town or maybe the riverside area instead. An option, completely relaxed.
You have to register your address within the first month. It's the law. Now that's a real requirement. No opinion involved at all.
3 sentences, 3 completely different jobs.
Let's try one more comparison, this time at home instead of the office. Your little brother wants to skip his homework.
Oh, classic situation. Gentle version first.
You should finish your homework before dinner. Friendly advice, he can technically argue back.
You could finish your homework now or right after dinner, whichever works better for you. An option, totally relaxed.
You have to finish your homework before you touch that game console. Now that's a real rule, non-negotiable.
Same little brother, same homework, 3 totally different levels of pressure.
It's honestly the same pattern every single time, once you notice it.
There's also a difference in texting versus speaking, and I think that's worth mentioning.
Oh, good point. How so?
In a text message, "you should come" can look a little flat without tone of voice to soften it.
Right, so people often add a smiley or soften it with maybe.
Exactly. Something like, "you should come, it'll be fun," smiley face, reads much warmer than the bare sentence alone.
And have to in texting can look almost aggressive without context.
Definitely. "You have to come" with a period at the end can feel like a demand, even if you didn't mean it that way.
So punctuation and tone matter just as much in writing as they do out loud.
One more thing before the error lab. Don't have to does not mean must not. It just means it's not necessary. Good catch. You don't have to come to the party. Totally optional, not forbidden.
Must not is a much stronger warning. A whole different topic for another day.
Already on the list.
All right, time to open the error lab.
Ooh, the error lab sounds a little dangerous.
It's safe, I promise. I'll say some slightly wrong or slightly rude sentences and you fix them for me.
Bring on the bad English.
Hey Mia, you have to help me right now, immediately.
Yikes, that sounds like an order, not a request. Fix it. Could you help me, please?
Much better. Here's another one. You should to try this app.
Ha, the sneaky extra 2. Fix it. You should try this app. No 2 ever after should or could.
Perfect catch. One more. Your project is bad. Fix it.
Oh, that would really sting if a coworker said it. Let's turn it into gentle advice instead. You should check your project again.
You turned an insult into helpful feedback. That's basically a communication superpower.
It really is. Words carry so much more weight than people realize.
One final error. He have to go now.
Small but important. It's has, not have, for he, she, and it. He has to go now.
Native speakers notice that one instantly.
One last one, and this is a mix-up I hear constantly. You must to call her.
2 mistakes hiding in one sentence. No to after must, and honestly, should or have to usually fits the moment better anyway. You have to call her, or you should call her, depending on how strongly you really feel.
The error lab really does catch everything, doesn't it?
All right, are you ready for the ultimate test?
The ultimate test? Am I ready for this? You are more than ready. Let's do a real role play, a small scene, like in a movie.
No explanations this time, just natural conversation.
Exactly. We're at the office, working on a project together. Action.
Hey Mia, are you busy right now?
Hi, James. A little bit. What's up?
Could you send me the marketing file?
Sure, I can send that over. Anything else?
Yes, actually. You should double check the numbers on page 3 before we send it out.
Oh, good catch. I'll do that right now. Do you have to leave early today?
I do, actually. I have to pick someone up from the airport.
No problem. Could you review the final draft tomorrow morning instead?
That works perfectly. And you have to try the coffee downstairs before you leave. It's genuinely amazing today.
Noted. Thanks, James.
And cut.
Wow, that felt so smooth.
It really did. You used all three without even thinking to stop.
I didn't think about grammar at all. I just thought about the feeling in the situation.
That's the real secret to fluency.
Let's lock in one final mental summary before we wrap.
Perfect, let's go.
Word 1, could. A soft, polite suggestion or request. Could you help me?
Word 2, should. A clear, friendly opinion someone can still choose to ignore. You should take a break.
Word 3, have to. A real requirement or an opinion you feel very strongly about. You have to see a doctor.
James, you are officially a master of this dimmer switch.
Thank you, Professor Mia.
So, what's our golden sentence for today?
Match your words to how strongly you actually feel.
Match your words to how strongly you actually feel. I really love that.
It changes how people hear you instantly.
If I sound too strong for a small opinion, I might sound pushy without meaning to.
Exactly. And if I sound too soft for something urgent, people might not take it seriously enough.
This was honestly one of the clearest lessons we've done.
I'm so glad it landed. Now, what about everyone listening right now?
Yes, we have a little homework for our amazing listeners.
Fun homework, I promise. No stressful tests.
What do they have to do?
I want you, the listener, to go to the comments right now and write 3 simple sentences, one for each word.
One sentence using could, like a polite request or a gentle suggestion.
One sentence using should, like honest, friendly advice.
And one sentence using have to, about something you truly, truly believe in.
We'll read through the comments and we'll feature some of our favorites in a future episode.
And if you make a small mistake, don't worry at all. The Error Lab is always open.
We'll help you fix it gently, no judgment.
This learning community is honestly one of my favorite parts of doing this show.
Mine too. So don't be shy. Drop your sentences below.
Could you write a comment? I would genuinely love to read it.
Look at you, already borrowing from the wrong lesson.
Old habits. Well, that's all for today.
Thank you so much for listening with us.
Keep practicing. You're doing great. And remember, this was never really a grammar problem.
It was always an intensity problem. Now you know exactly how to turn the dial.
Before you go, if this helped, share it with a friend who's also learning English.
And subscribe if you haven't yet. We've got another episode coming that builds directly on today's topic.
A stronger one.
You'll see.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.